Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to show you a simple whack-a-mole program written in RFO-BASIC on an Android device. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and show the game real quick, and then we'll dive into the code. The source code will be available in the comments below. We will also have a link to the RFO-BASIC website included in the comments below as well. So to get started, we're going to go ahead and launch the game just so that you see, and keep in mind this is a very simple basic whack-a-mole just to give you an idea of the principle of how it works. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to set a size for X. What this will be is the maximum X size that the mole can be placed. And we're going to go ahead and set this for 800 on this device. We're going to set a maximum size for Y, and we're going to go ahead and set that at 800 as well. You can set it for really whatever you want as long as it's less than the actual screen resolution of your device. So we'll say OK on that. Now you see we have a light blue screen with a black square on it. The square is the mole. Every time you touch the mole will update its location. Alright, so when we're done playing, we'll go ahead and hit the back button. And it's going to let us know we whacked 9 moles. So let's go ahead and take a look at the code on this, and I'll explain this. Okay, so what you see here, we'll go ahead and start at the beginning. I have a remark just saying it's the beginning of simple whack-a-mole. We're going to let the user set for X and set for Y. We're going to do this with input enter size for X and use the variable SX. Then we're going to use input size for Y, and we're going to use the variable SY. Now we're going to go down here and we're going to go ahead and set the graphics mode. We're going to do the GR open, and we're going to set it to full opacity with a light blue background. We're also going to set the orientation of the screen for portrait. Then we're going to set the color to black with a fill and stroke for everything that we draw. So now let's go down to the game. First thing we're going to do is we're going to generate the X and the Y for the mole. We're going to do that with these commands here. Mole X is going to be the starting X location for the mole, and we're going to do that by generating a random number from 1 to the maximum size as SX, which we entered earlier. Mole Y is going to work the same way. That is the Y position for the mole, and we're going to do that with a random number from 1 to SY. Now we're going to go ahead and draw the mole, and we're going to do that using the GR rectangle command. We're going to give it the label as mole, and then we're going to draw it at mole X and mole Y, the randomly generated numbers, and then we're going to take it out to mole X plus 100 and mole Y plus 100. So that's going to draw a black filled square at mole X and mole Y that's 100 by 100 wide. We're going to show the mole, and then we're going to render the screen. Now we're going to check for the touch on the screen. We're going to do that with this routine right here. First part of this is going to check to see if the screen has been touched, and we're going to do this with a do until statement, and we're going to go do until gr touch xy has happened. What that's going to do is that's going to indicate that the screen has been touched, and it's going to set the variables where the screen has been touched to X and Y. Now we're also going to wait until the finger gets taken off of the screen by basically running the command again, but with an exclamation point in front of the touched. Now we're going to check to see if the mole was actually touched. And we're going to do that with an if statement. And we're going to say if X from the screen input is greater than the beginning of mole X, and if Y is greater than the beginning of mole Y, so that the touch inputs are basically greater than the beginning of the square. And then we're going to make sure that the X is less than mole X plus 100, because it's 100 pixels wide, and that mole Y is less than mole Y plus 100 because it's 100 pixels tall. If that happens to be true, then we're going to hide the mole, which takes the mole off of the screen. We're going to update the screen, and then I added this in here just for a little bit of fun. We're going to go ahead and update a score on the graphics modes, on the text mode screen rather. You won't actually see the text mode screen while you're in graphics mode, but we're just going to do that with a variable score equals score plus 1. We're going to clear the text screen, and then we're going to say you whacked the variable score and then moles. And then if this is true, it's going to go to game, which if we go back up here, is going to regenerate a new random XY coordinate for the mole, and then check for a touch again. Very straightforward. If this happens to not be true, it's going to fall down to this next statement. So it will only get to this if the mole has not been touched. So if the mole was not touched, it's going to go check for touch again. It's going to check to see if the screen was touched and if it was touched within the parameters of the mole. I hope you guys find this useful and interesting. If you do, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I will include source code for this in the comments. I'll also include a link to RFO-BASIC in the comments below. And thank you and have a good day.